civil service salaries, economic issues, the bread and butter, I will call it. And then segment 2, we will place the spotlight on the GAC audit report as well. We have a couple of media institutions carrying this live. We understand that also relaying radio stations include OKFM 99.5, Punch FM 106.5, Sky FM 107.5, Joy FM 101.5, and Prime FM 105.5. A couple of online radio online stations as well, and also relaying this interview. My name is Vafli Kamara. Minister, I'd like to say good morning and welcome to the Super Morning Show. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you at this very critical time of national development.
Good morning, Vafli. It's always good to be back, and to your colleagues in the press, my greetings to your boss, DG Eugene Fagon, Eugene Lamy Fagon.
Yeah.
And the deputy DGs and the senior management, and you all that are keeping the fort, doing a good job expanding services. We are very proud of it, of what you guys are doing, and we'll continue to be supportive of the effort.
Thank you. Great. So I began by, stating how this discussion, but based on realities, Minister, based on prevailing realities, based on your data in terms of development, the economic issues, is today better off than yesterday?
Thank you very much, Ovani. Well, there are a lot of indicators, and for today, I don't want to be so sophisticated to talk high-tech economics. We need to address the issue in more, what I call simple terms. And this is not an attempt to demean anybody, but this is an attempt to project the reality. Although some will want us to believe that we are retrogressing, but contrary to their narrative, we are actually progressing. And let me say this. On Wednesday, there was a program held in River G.
You mean last Wednesday?
No. Yeah, last Wednesday. Okay, last Wednesday. And I was invited, but I couldn't attend based on my very busy schedule. I sent my assistant minister for economic affairs, Henry Ngafuan, to represent me. And he went to Fishtown. I expected Ngafuan, back at the ministry on Friday. But I was surprised that on Thursday, a meeting we're having, Ngafuan bumps into the meeting before 4 p.m. And he came from Fishtown. He had left just about 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, if people don't know that there is progress from Fishtown to Monrovia to our meeting at the Ministry of Finance on the 10th floor, then we need to find a better definition of progress, especially when yesterday people on the same lane, on the same route, they were taking days, and sometimes they will go through Côte d'Ivoire. If you hear Senator Zopeno, don't hear me. Hear Senator Zopeno. Listen to Senator Yaya Nimle testifying about what that rule has done, the time. One of the things affects the economy is high prices. We have the rural areas being places of agricultural production, but because of by-road connectivity, areas that are rich in production do not connect to markets. If roads are done, the marketers, the agriculturalists and others bring their goods and services to market quicker. Inflation has started tapering down. In fact, the latest for July was 7.14% or so. I was talking with the central bank governor the last time. One of the reasons is that domestic food inflation has dropped because, as we speak, the country is connected. Buses can move from here, NTS buses, in the height of the rainy season, drive to Vonjama and drive to Hapa, low price. If people don't recognize that as progress, then they have a definition of progress. Let's move from that. Electricity. Electricity supply is getting more stable.
You're making reference to what you've normally called constraints, addressing constraints or challenges to growth.
Yes. In our economy, there are two main constraints. Access to finance is another, but the two main teething constraints to growth: lack of infrastructure, especially road infrastructure, and supply of power. One of the things that eats into the profit of businesses is the high cost of power. When they spend so much money to keep the lights on, it affects business profitability and it makes it difficult for them to expand. You see us emphasizing power expansion. In fact, we are one of 12 countries chosen by the World Bank and the African Development Bank to develop an energy compact. We have a Liberia energy compact. President Boyka led the team. I was part of that delegation to Dar es Salaam this January to go and join other leaders of Africa to talk energy, and the Liberian Energy Compact was presented. In fact, in our discussion, our Liberian room discussion, you saw no less than the World Bank President Ajay Banga and the ADB President now, he's just left, Dr. Addison, in the Liberian room, we're talking energy. What is the grand design? To increase energy supply, access to electricity now, from about 33% to 75% in 5 years. And we are on course. That's why this going rainy season, this going dry season, everyone was in Monrovia. You saw more stable electricity. More communities are being supplied with electricity. If that is not progress, let them tell you why it's progress. Now, at the level of the port, night operation has started. Yes, we're waiting for a 24-hour port service, but at least the last time I was driving from work around 10:30, I saw containers leaving the port. It tells you throughput is increasing. What are those things in the container? Things that will be sold. Things are being sold. In the night, there is light in the street. People are in Monrovia selling longer hours help. Their businesses, you can get first shift, second shift. Now, water supply has increased. It's been a long time since I saw muscle men toting containers climbing the Johnson Street area. Maybe whether you saw them or let they tell me, that site, I remember that site. It's been a long time since I saw people with containers at gas stations because price of gasoline has been down and supply has been stable. There's been no shortage in almost 2 years. the price of rice down, stable. I was out of the country. One site that I remember it vividly, is a site of our women, our mothers. Site
that happened this administration.
No. You're talking about the past. You just opposing the past and the present.
Okay.
One site that I cannot forget. Mothers climbing fences at Invata or what have you to go and try to, not to go and beg for rice. They were looking for rice to go and sell. Now, for almost 2 years, that has not happened. Stable supply, prices low. If someone does not recognize that progress, then their definition of progress is warped. Civil servants. By and large, we've said, we pay civil servants on time. And more often than not, except there are challenges in it with the banks crediting some accounts. But see what is happening. We have normalized payment of civil servants such that even if there is 1 day delay, I like the anger that comes. Pay has delayed. When you talk about month and sometimes more than that, people are not complaining. You know, when you have put excellent standards, people will hold you to excellence. You know, some of us and some folks here, when you say that you are an A student, sometimes when the test is tough, when you score B or C plus, you will be complaining. If people listen to your complaint, they will be confused because in the same test, people are scoring F's and D's. When an A student who will score 79 will be angry. So some of the anger that we show ourselves, it's not that we fail, it's because we're holding ourselves to high standards. The president is holding all of us to high standards. So, by and large, we could go on many other indicators of progress. I just tell you this. Talk about civil servants.
Yeah, I want to ask about the currency of civil servant salaries.
It's current. It's current. We pay largely on time. We in July we pay around the 15 I think around the 15. Before the 18th, before the 20th, we have paid almost everybody. August, we pay on time. There were 1 or 2 challenges with banks crediting, and that's why we solve it. Now, we are digitizing the economy. The central bank, we're working with them, introducing the payment switch, and that will improve the efficiency of the entire economy. I was talking about, you're talking about yesterday and today. At least we know that today, since we have not credited to pay civil servants, we have not.
Did it happen yesterday?
Yesterday, government credited to pay civil servants for the month of, I think, for 2 months.
In the tune of how much?
The total credit, 83 million US dollars. You heard about that? Part of it was to pay civil servants for the 2 months. But in this budget, in this year's budget, we have 16 million budgeted to start to pay back.
The 83 million.
The 83 million. So in a sense, this government is paying the salary for December 2023 and December 2022 or November 2023, while we are dealing with this year's burden. And let me say this, we don't say it loudly. We increased the pay of government workers, more than 28,000 workers in this year's budget. You know, the pay of people were cut off, whether the police, the army, and others. In fact, the police officers were being made to pay for their insurance. In this year's budget, we said no police officer and voting acts. And let me say this: at the judiciary, whether it is at the level of the bench, Supreme Court bench, and judges, and many of the folks there, we have reversed, almost practically reversed, because they suffer steeply cuts due to harmonization. Their pay has been restored to pre-harmonization levels. And we're doing more, in other branches of government, in other integrated institutions, the medical workers. So we don't come every day to be talking these things because we are fixated on working and doing more. But if you're trying to juxtapose and contradistinguish between today and yesterday, today, we don't say, let me say this, we don't say we are in utopia, but we are not in dystopia. We have not reached heaven. Heaven is, we cannot reach heaven. But for people to make it, to go and put and just what I call suffuse the atmosphere, put so much spoonful of negativity and make it to look like Liberia is progressing, it's wrong. Because you mean
regressing?
Regressing rather. Thank you for the correction. Liberia is regressing or retrogressing. It's wrong. Because there are a lot of indicators of progress. And when you give this warped view of progress and say that everything is went by this or here or where, maybe you are on a different planet. We still recognize that there are challenges. That's why we are putting our shoulders to the wheel to continue to work. We will not rest on our hours. We will continue to sprint to make sure that every day, as I told you the last time, we can assure you that tomorrow will be better than today, as today is better than yesterday. Day after tomorrow will be better than tomorrow. We are on a path of progression, and there's no turning back.
Should it be a moral responsibility for those who benefit in civil servants, increments? Should they come public to bear witness?
But
should that be?
I think I saw nurses CB Domba celebrating. That was on Facebook. But I understand why people who's benefited from salary increases will not announce it. For obvious reasons. Maybe they don't want the pressure to come on them. We're looking at increment of salary generally. If we increase salary, assuming, maybe you will not do it. You'll go and declare, you'll do an open declaration. If we increase the salary and put maybe $1,000 on, the probability is that VAFLE would not want to make it, public. And we respect your privacy. Let me give you something. You didn't ask that question. People will go and say, we're paying below the minimum wage. I saw someone's salary $70. How do you guys say, the minimum wage is $150? Yes, the minimum wage is $150. In fact, no one on the civil side, on the central government payroll makes below the minimum wage of $150 as mandated by the Decent Work Act. And President Boyka said, all those individuals that have not, reached that point, this year's budget, they are. But people forget to know that it's gross. The gross is taxable. When the tax is taken, and maybe Social Security, maybe based on where they work, they have insurance, maybe based on their own reputation with the banks, they could take loan. So what we do after those deductions, especially the income tax, Social Security, the balance, we bifurcate it. We pay in two currencies. Liberia runs a dual currency regime, Liberian dollars and US dollars. So 70% of the pay is in US dollars. 30% is in Liberian dollars. Some conveniently, when I ask them for their pay, they volunteer one and make it to assume that they don't get the other. Will I go and be telling every day coming to ELBC and say, no, that's private issue. So people the inclination to declare salary is low for obvious reasons and will not push them. But more than 28,000 persons in this budget benefited from salary top-ups.
What about volunteer teachers being placed on central government payroll?
Yes, I think the Education Ministry has placed more than 100, more than I think 1,000 of them already, and we budgeted for that. we have MCSS. You know what happened. There was a runaway situation where volunteer teachers, I think, grew from about 100 persons to about 700 in no time. There's been vetting done. This year, we starting the process. We're giving some money to the MCSS to start those that have been vetted. We will start the migration of those volunteers on the payroll. Yeah. We may not do all this year, but we have started, and we're going to start this year.
Minister, can you tell us that you've reversed 100% the harmonization policy of the last administration?
No. Finance ministry employees were affected. I don't feel good that we haven't had the fiscal space. People working all the time. We have not. Employees across the general government, many other places, but we targeted health.
Okay.
We targeted police. We targeted the judiciary. We targeted EPS. We targeted the army for top-ups. So in this new budget, we're looking at the fiscal space. We intend to do more. We'll be doing it, graduating it, and expanding people into. So we are not talking about, we can't say that by the goal we'll be able to reverse everything, but as the fiscal space allows, we will do more. Yeah.
Let's talk about, the 83 million you said the last administration credited to pay civil servant salaries for 2 months, 2023, November and December. Do we have something in the budget to pay that? How much is that, and how long are you going to take to pay that?
Every year we're going to be budgeting about 16 million. So this year, 16 million.
So imagine that money was not credited.
Imagine that. Some of these civil servants.
I'm asking, what are you going to do?
Maybe we would have. I told you that we did 28. The entire civil service more than 60. So think about the number of persons that would have benefited. Think about we reversed practically in the judiciary with the higher ups. We could have reversed more. So we're dealing with the past while we're dealing with the challenges of the present and preparing for the future. Yeah.
Let's talk the TICA, the recent TICA. I know there are some engagements. We're still on what is to come from these conferences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in multiple conferences in my stay in government. I recall, I think it was 2013. There was a TCAD here in Yokohama. President Salif headed the delegation. I was Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we met the late now Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, and we talked Somalia Drive. And that was some commitment, that was some talk. We followed up, and later I signed the first grant agreement for that role. Later, when I left, my successor, Ambassador Marjan Kamara, signed, and then it went on and on. The role is completed. These things, when you hear these trips help to solidify good impression, good plans, and these things mature. So I understand people saying, "Oh, what is there's an impression that when a president travels or the minister travels, you need to come with a top load of money on your head." That's not how it's done. These are engagements, and I can tell you I was part of great meetings. President Boka was the first leader to have been met by the Prime Minister of Japan when he started meeting presidents, and he also met the head of JICA. Interestingly, the current head of JICA was at JICA before. He understands Liberia. He was in the meeting in the 2013 Yokohama meeting, and so there's going to be, the first thing is that, this commitment, they have recommitted that the extension up to the Gabriel Tucker Bridge will soon start. And we're talking cooperation in infrastructure, health, especially JFK, you know the Japanese, what they did with the maternity. There are plans for them to improve that. And the foreign ministry folks will give you more. But let me say this. When we go to these meetings, we do a lot of sideline meetings. One of the meetings we had that was very productive was a meeting with the World Bank team. I coordinated the meeting. The foreign minister was there, and Minister of Education, Agriculture, and others, Mines and Energy. We talked about the World Bank program. The World Bank has a current portfolio in Liberia now of almost $1 billion. And they're going to be in the new World Bank country program framework that we just concluded. We're emphasizing tourism. We're emphasizing, decreasing what we call learning poverty, agriculture. The World Bank will include Liberia. They're going to launch something in agriculture, equivalent to what the World Bank and the African Development Bank did with energy, with the Energy Compass. They're going to launch something called Agri-Connect. Usually they do this big launching on the sidelines of the annual meetings of the World Bank and the IMF, which comes up in October. Liberia is going to be included. The other thing is to increase support to agribusiness and to make sure that the infrastructure that agriculture needs to succeed, is given. So there's going to be some support there. We also talked with the managing director of the IFC, Mr. Makta Diop. He led the World Bank delegation in the meeting. In the meeting was the vice president of the World Bank. The IFC is the private sector entity of the World Bank. They've committed to increasing their investment, their portfolio in Liberia. Private sector entities in Liberia are going to benefit. Now, the interesting thing is that they've told us that they're going to be, it's not just giving loans or some facility. They want to be taking equity in business. So we're going to be linking them to business opportunities here. And now, sooner than later, we're going to conclude something. Something has been in the works. A company that is coming for renewable energy. It's called SCATEX, supported by IFC. Will soon launch its operation. It's going to give us 20 megawatts of additional power. So power will expand. It's all part of our strategy. So I could go on. We met the AfriExim Bank. AfriExim Bank is a bank that gives support. It is one of the banks that is funding this ELBC, RI Highway. Our obligation to them through East International more than almost 60 million. This government has to pay. We have to restructure and get ourselves in a better boat to get more financing from AfriExim for other infrastructure projects. I could go on and on. And so it was hectic, and I came from there knowing fully well that as we work on these things, they get actualized, our country will benefit hugely. But it's just me. The agriculture minister can come and give you all that he did. What was happening is that many of us were in our private lanes. As finance minister, I was engaging. Minister of Education engaging. Every other person was engaging. I'm just giving you my side of the story.
Minister, any updates from the MCC compact?
Yes, thank you for that. The MCC informed us through a communication written to me by the I-10 Africa Director, Mr. Jason Small, that the decision on Liberia's eligibility, Liberia was declared eligible before in December 2024. Then there was a transition in government, U.S. government. And the first thing that happened, you all know about it, was the cancellation scrapping of USAID. As we speak, out of 29 projects, only 5 USAID projects, or only 5 projects on a new modality that were being funded by USAID are still ongoing. Many persons expected that the sky will have collapsed on us because USAID is, up at that time, was Liberia's second largest donor, next to the World Bank. USAID was the principal donor in health and education, and to some extent agriculture. But we've managed, as I told you before, that we face turbulence. But good pilots will sail the aircraft to destination in spite of turbulence. So it's been bumpy, but we have largely kept ourselves on course. So MCC was not cancelled like USAID. It was put on pause for review by the State Department under Secretary Rubio. And so they've been doing review. I can tell you that many countries' compact operation or engagement in MCC have been cancelled. Liberia's eligibility is still under consideration. They've told us that by December, the board of MCC will meet. Now, last Wednesday, I had a 1-hour Zoom discussion, me and my team, with the MCC folks, the authorities. They've decided on the 22nd of this month, September, MCC is feeding a team to Liberia, a team of officials and economists. Some of them will be here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They are going to they're working with our team of economists. They're going to meet many folks in government and out of government. They are going to put together to identify sectors that can benefit from possible MCC support or quick growth and constraints analysis will be done. Before Liberia was declared eligible, there was something done. Last year, December 2024. So we're going to update it with them. We identify sectors and we continue to engage the board. Well, we are dealing with the Trump administration. We are on course in a lot of ways. So keeping off factors constant and giving the positive engagement, not only with what we do with MCC indicators, but a lot of other factors. We hope that when the country's case is placed at the board, Liberia will be declared, Liberia's eligibility will be reaffirmed. And when Liberia's eligibility is reaffirmed, then it will be the time that the MCC will tell us what amount under this new government we will benefit from. For now, we don't have a figure. It will be higher than 500 million. It will be lower than that, based on what Congress will approve for MCC under the new administration. We will get something if we get approved. But here is it. Think about what the first grant of MCC did for this country. 257 million. Most of the power we benefit from now as a country comes from my coffee. MCC support also affected infrastructure, water, and other areas. So for us, whatever amount of support will help us in some sectors, and we are waiting for the team. And my team at the Ministry of Finance is prepared. There's exchange of information to ease the team. We are working along with the American Embassy here. The Charge Affair paid me a courtesy visit 2 weeks ago. We all are excited about the coming of the team, and we'll see how it goes.
That the MCC team is coming, is that a glimmer of hope, given that most Liberians want to see Liberia having a compact, because the enormity of the challenges require those kinds of money to solve some of the problems given our limited fiscal space. Because some argue that if Liberia was not under serious consideration, there would be no need to send a team to access our capabilities.
We are indeed under serious consideration. That's why our team has come. MCC, many countries they've given up on MCC because they're not even under consideration. Many other countries, no MCC team is visiting them. So we remain cautiously positive. We know that we have work to do, and we do the work. And it would not be that we haven't worked. It's not only the Ministry of Finance, all the sector ministries are working, and the team is coming. They're going to meet sector ministries, they're going to meet development partners, they're going to work and others, and they're going to meet private sector people. And so let's see how it goes.
Okay. If you just joined us, you're listening to the Super Morning Show. We have the Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Augustine Ngafuan, a couple of radio stations, both in and outside of Monrovia, relaying this interview. Minister, let me bring your attention to the University of Liberia case. It is a very serious matter. I have obtained a letter written by the President of the University of Liberia, Madam Lady Mapaya, to the Senate Committee Chair on Education, Senator Nathaniel McGill, and I'm going to read this letter. I don't know if you obtained that, but it says here, the letter was written September 5, 2025, Honorable Nathaniel F. McGill, Chairman, Senate Committee on Education, the Liberian Senate, Capitol Building, Monrovia, subject request for immediate funding, approval to address adjunct faculty salary arrears and jumpstart bathroom renovations. The president of UL went on to say, Dear Honorable McGill, I present my compliments and extend sincere appreciation for your continued support to the University of Liberia in its pursuit of academic excellence and institutional sustainability. I write to respectfully, now this is, I want you to take note of this, she said, I write to respectfully request your urgent intervention and approval of funding in the amount of $550,000 US to enable the University of Liberia settle critical salary arrears owed to its adjunct faculty for semester 1 of academic year 2024-2025 of $251,000. This amount, according to her, also represents a partial settlement in the amount of $199,000 of the total arrears accumulated during the recently concluded vacation school semester, and it's essential to allow the University of Liberia resume semester 2 this semester of academic year 2024-2025 without further disruption. It also includes funding of $100,000 to jumpstart the long-awaited and urgent bathroom renovation activity. Minister, is the University of Liberia finding it difficult to get the allotment? And if so, why is the university finding it difficult?
Before I launch into answering your question, let me tell you my multiple links with the university. I was a student leader, elected student leader at the university. That's one link. Secondly, I was a lecturer at the university. Well, when I became finance minister, it was so difficult for me to continue. I have many of my students around. They can testify. Also, I was secretary of the board of the university from 2006 to 2019. So when you talk about the university, I have multiple links.
Are you seeing within the university is dear to your heart?
More than dear to my heart.
Then why are they finding it difficult?
We are hostess. Let me be clear, and people listen well. The university's budget now, last year, contrary to insinuations that were put out by folks who wouldn't even attempt to ask, the university got almost 100% of their budget. The university budget was, I think,
last budget.
Last year, 2024. Last year you heard, we deprived the university. The university budget was about, what the legislature approved for last year was, sorry, I think,
No, but you.
33. It was 33. Yes, it was 33.7.
33.7 for
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
This budget is what?
Yeah, it's about 34 million.
Okay.
Now,
So
last
there
year's
was an
budget,
increment.
last year's budget, only 16,000 of the university budget that the university didn't get. 16,000 in budgeting. It is rare for someone to get 99% of their budget. A lot of reasons. Many entities will hardly get 100% of the budget. To even get 90, because there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of challenges, when it comes to getting the allotment, going through procurement or whatever. Because we give the university lump sum, we've been on time, and I'm very clear with my people. Make sure that university gets its budget. Now, this year they have almost 34 million. We are on time. The university is one institution that we make sure that they get their allotment and their payment on time. So, contrary to impressions that have been put out there, that we're not giving the university their budget. The university budget was approved by the legislature. Let me say this. LPS, you have subsidy. In the budget, you were approved by the legislature. Ministry of Commerce, the budget has more than 100 entities approved by the legislature. What the university is requesting is beyond what is in their budget. The impression that the Senate was put under was a bad impression, false impression. And I could sense should I say, the heated sentiment from some of the senators, because they thought that the university's budget was not being given to them. And so that was a wrong impression given to the Senate. But in fact, I will forgive, the new president is in transition. To write the Senate Standing Committee head asking for approval of immediate allocation to the university, that's not a responsibility of the Senate.
So was the letter misdirected?
Well, that's your terminology.
Should the letter be written to...
Well, let me tell you what happened, which makes that letter... I don't want to tell you how we feel at the Ministry of Finance. We engaged the university. We agreed that we'll meet the senior management of the university during the weekend. Even before OFA laid down their chalks, we had agreed. So we met the university, the president and her vice presidents. Acting vice president for fiscal affairs, Lester Kenny was there. The vice president for academic affairs, Dr. Egner Reeves, and I think vice president for administration, Bernard Otta. We met for almost 5 hours at the Ministry of Finance.
That was before this letter was
Before this letter was written.
Okay.
5 hours talking university. I should have gone to a funeral of one of my staffers. I did not. My Saturday, I invested my Saturday to the university. We talked. And we are not too happy with some things at the university. I'm going to take some things. We're going to take some hard measures. In fact, we are going to re-verify. Take this. We are going to re-verify everyone on the university payroll for the month of September. We pay, of the 34 million we pay as a government, 32 million goes for salaries. And some actions that should have been taken earlier to sanitize that payroll system has been delayed. And we were ensured that there will be no delay. Because it is one thing to ask for more, it's another thing to use what you have well. After the meeting, we committed. We are knocking on not only government doors, external partners. We are meeting them, and I even told them some of the things we're going to do for the university. beyond just what government can do. And then the issue about extra money. And there is it. Extra money to any government entity is something that you guys in the press love to call off budget. I see your front page, off budget. And they make it to look like it's a crime. This university crisis is going to highlight something, because we transition into the GSC report, right? Okay. Any extra money that was not budgeted that you were asking for, is off budget. So those that don't understand off budget, this university request is off budget.
You mean the 250,000?
No, it's 500,000.
The 550,000.
Yes, it's off budget. It's beyond their budget. So it is not. They're not asking for. It's not an issue of.
But have they exhausted their budget?
No, they don't have to exhaust their budget, because most of the budget goes to salaries and other things. University. Let me say this: the government subsidy is not the only source of funding to the university. University collect fees and other things. So they determine what to do with it. So the government's budget, the government's funding to the university is a subset of the university budget. And we're going to be getting into many other things. But I just want to say, so this request is off budget. And interestingly, the legislature is on break. This request, given the pressure, if we approve it, it will also be without legislative approval. Think about it now. Off budget, without legislative approval. I made headlines. My good guys here, they have my picture, the soul, right? They have my picture. And you guys will give me some royalties for the extra money you guys got. Off budget. That's one soul. Okay. And now, we're talking university. You all want me and somebody who has been giving people a spoonful of negativity, calling me names. Last year, off budget. He was yelling, off budget, off budget, off budget. Then this year, he's talking, Ngafuan graduated university. He's a heartless man. Also, you want now, today, that I should do the off budget thing. You want me to do the off budget, right? Now you understand off budget? If you don't understand this thing here, if you don't understand, do not call good characters, label good characters as criminals because of your lack of understanding. It's sad. Now we have an urgent situation. What do? Now, I could go and say, somebody in the press will call me, an off-budget spender. Someone will say, I gave money to the university without legislative approval. That's a crime. Wait, just give me a chance. So now, I'm having an engagement for everybody. We are in the process of giving the university money, off-budget money, and we are in the process of giving the university money without legislative approval. Why? Senator McGay is not the legislature. That committee is not the legislature. The legislature comes, the two houses, the legislature takes decision in session. So whatever engagement with a house does not suffice as a legislature. So when
you've been summoned, you should be appearing on Tuesday. So aren't these challenges appealing for this money to be made available?
No, let's think. I will give you this. So after that meeting, I told them the situation we face as the government, that the money you are requesting for, you don't have it in your budget. It's a matter of saying you want 550,000. So then you give us the difficult burden of saying, where do we find the money? We go all around cutting. We cut this, cut institutions. Should we cut LBS to give to the university? Should we? You know how difficult it is, right? Because everyone wants more. The total extra request on the budget, beyond budgeted appropriation, is about 63 million. Can we fund that? No. So it's not a thing to say when you ask for money today, especially not in your budget, we'll give it to you today. So we requested, and this is where many persons at the Ministry of Finance feel Very angered. They are angry because we requested from the university, send us a letter for the extra money. And indeed.
Did you get one?
Yes. Dated September 1.
That was before this communication.
Before this communication.
Because this communication is September 5.
Yes.
So
before this communication.
Are you frustrated in the fact that the UL president was not patient?
Well, you know, I say, you know, there are transitional challenges when a new person comes in. So I would like to use some of those big terminology you're using.
I mean, but
you know, allowance for transition. I call it allowance for transition. So she wrote me on the 1st of September. We immediately put it in our system. There's a process. Extra money that is not in your budget. We have to scour here and there. And then go to what we call budget management committee. We've been in this process. The university, none of them follow up. The president didn't follow up. They didn't follow up with us. My people, by Friday, they had told me that they have now finally identified sources that we can use. You know, by today or so, the university will get the money. But take this.
The money is available.
But by today, the processes of giving the university will be consummated.
Okay.
And then, let me take this. So, but you know what we're doing? We're taking risks. We engage in off budget. We engage in no legislation. So all my journalist friends here that have been pushing the university. So you've been pushing me to do off budget spending and expenditure of legislative approval. But let me tell you this. The legislature knows. That's why we gave them report. The legislature goes on breaks. In the report we send to the legislature, we report. There are certain urgencies that we cannot wait. Like the last time, some of you guys are sport lovers. You heard about the Lone Star. The Lone Star went, I think, is it Tunisia?
Yeah, Tunisia and Malawi.
400,000. You know, and the Kwame always say that I love his name, you know. He's the guy, he's the ambassador to the Ministry of Finance. So, I've been doing Andy. So they feel that Andy can make me to move fast. So when there is a difficulty, they deploy him at the ministry. So I saw my man Andy, why are you here? Lone Star, we need 400,000. Is that in your budget? No. No. And then everybody, the government cannot fund Lone Star, blah, blah, blah. Off budget. Should we sit and Lone Star don't go? Off budget. Should we wait for the legislature to come in October? Can we do that? Can we do that? So, you know, I told my folks, and I would launch it with, especially for reporters on economic affairs. We feel obligated to doing capacity building, understanding the budget process, understanding basic financial matters. Then you report from an informed perspective. That we're going to do. So we're going to do that. We give capacity so that people understand certain matters.
Okay. In summary, today is better than yesterday.
Definitely. Definitely. In a lot of respects. In a lot of respects. You know. It doesn't mean, you know, for everybody. I mean, some folks, they will have more challenging circumstances. Some of it is that opportunities will be afforded to everybody. On average, generally, that is the case.
Okay, you're listening to the Super Morning Show on 99.9 ELBC, relayed on a couple of radio stations, including OKFM, Prime FM, Joy FM, Prime FM as well, Punch FM, Sky FM, and a couple of online, including Front Page, Vision, Verity, and all that. Anyway, let's come. You want us to take a break?
No, let's go.
Let's come according to the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The report, the GSA report.
Yeah.
Before I come to the specific highlights in the report that talks about the 2.8 million that the General Auditing Commission, they didn't see adequate documentation to validate, you know, expenditure and all that. talk us through you've been there. You've been confronted with GAC reports in your first stint, whether it's at the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You've been confronted with other reports. Talk us through the process of coming in contact with these reports and how they are received and how you act upon them.
Well, let me say that when I was in graduate school, I took extra courses in auditing. Extra courses, although I didn't go for certification. I was busy. I came back to the central bank. So one of my other colleagues that we took those extra courses when I became a CPA. Mm. But so when I came back and I became a lecturer at the university, I was teaching auditing, really, 400 level auditing. Some of the folks at the GAC were taught by me. So give me a chance, let me explain certain things. And I will be a little bit professorial here on that. Because there is a basic misunderstanding about auditing in this country. But before that, I will say this. You know, I supported President Barker and the rescue mission. Though I was out of the country, but in my own ways, I was supporting. And people expected that during the formation of the government, I would take up a position. I was offered, but I said, I don't want it. And some people were surprised. I turned down all the offers that the president gave me. He too was not too happy with it. I went back. And wish my country well. I always do. I don't have to be in government to contribute to my country. So when the president called me to return, I was put on the horns of a dilemma. My country needed me. Yes, I was in better circumstances, income-wise, benefit-wise, doing a whole lot of things at the ADB and for Uganda, and we're preparing to go to another country. So what could I have done? And folks would call me, please come, please take up the offer. And I hesitated. One of the reasons I hesitated was this. Should I come back to the country where I will work myself from in the morning to sometimes 12 p.m.? My mother will call me for days she cannot get me, working for my country, honestly, diligently. And some people, because of their venom or their misunderstanding, some of them will sit in one corner, calling you criminal, some with criminal credentials. It's very painful. So I said, should I come back? But the reason why I decided to accept? Because as this issue was coming, should we take the job here and there? There were talk shows going around this country. And then my folks on the ground were giving me stuff. And something moved me. A friend of mine works in Grangia. And he listened to a local talk show. Almost 90% of the people said he should come back. And I said to myself, I'm coming back for those people. And talk shows were done all around. That, in spite of this distraction, I am coming to use whatever God has given me, working with colleagues, under the guidance of the president, to help to develop this country. When I was Minister of Finance, it was under me that the Fishtown Harper Highway started. And the ADB folks, the guys that started it, when I was with them, they even reminded me, the other guy brought a picture that they took with me at the Ministry of Finance. So I look at what we can do to make sure that in a few years, under President Barker, as we were saying, that the road will move from here to Harper. That's what brought me here. I started the Banga-Menikoma Highway. I went to Kuwait when we had achieved 4.6 billion debt cancellation. met the Kuwaitis. Which project? I put forth that project under the instruction of the president and former vice president then and non-president. We got the first 2.8 million for the feasibility study. That road hasn't been completed. What brought me here is to make sure that Banga-Menikoma Highway is completed. I could go on and on. When I say the ministerial complex that we all go to, I signed the agreement with the Chinese, the Chinese ambassador, President Salif is behind. $60 million grant for that facility. Monrovia, Buchanan, with the World Bank. Monrovia, Banga, to the Guinea border. And I know, working with police, what we can do more. And the common people want that. That's why I came. So there will be distractions, right? And I am a Christian. If you go to, I think, Matthew, 14, I think verse, if I'm not mistaken, verse, 29 to 30 something, you read a story about Peter and Jesus. When they were on the high seas, when Jesus left and started to walk on water, Peter looked and said, "Oh, Master, can I come?" Jesus said, "Come." Peter started walking to Jesus and he was walking on water. But then he started to get worried about the wind and the wave. And what happened? He started to sink. In that interaction with Jesus, that is the story of a success. Keep him focused. So the distraction, the lies, they will not distract me. I'm focused on how we can get the road to happen, how we can do this. So, coming to your stuff.
Yeah, and I want to be specific about this audit report.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say it was an elephant in the room, the Auditor General called me yesterday and said, "Oh, but I said, because this is the big deal of the audit report." But let me say, I mean, this is what the GAC says as its observation. During the audit, we observed from our sample of payment vouchers that management facilitated payments amounting to 2,850,000 plus without evidence of adequate supporting documents such as payment receipts, quotations, contract expenditure, liquidation reports, delivery notes, job completion certificates, etc., where applicable for various expenditures to validate the legitimacy of the transactions. Now, the GSC made a recommendation that management should fully account for expenditures made without adequate supporting documents comprehensively cataloged in Annexure 1 as part of management's response to this management letter. And this is a financial statement audit.
Okay, let me explain this to you now. Firstly, let me say this. Next week, Tuesday, the 16th of September, makes me 1 year in the Ministry of Finance. 1 year. This is the second year of the regime. So for 2024, I was Minister of Finance for 3 months, I think 14 days. We started 2024 with, I call him my predecessor, good friend, Samuel Doutoue, was Minister of Finance for a good part of January 2024. So he was the first Minister of Finance for 2024. And then Boema Kamara took it up to July 2024, second. And there was an acting Minister of Finance, Anthony Myers. He had it from July up to the 16th when he turned over to me. So we're talking about 4 persons. 4 persons. Now, this is not to say that anything egregiously wrong happened. Let me say this. I was talking about explaining audit. So, the auditor, transactions are taking place now here, right? LBS. The auditor could come to audit LBS 2025 report in maybe 2027 or 2027 or even 2028. What would they depend on? They will say that, the accountant or the report says that Vafle Kamara was giving maybe, let's say, 2,000 for a workshop. Vafle Kamara for some workshop. broadcasters workshop. Okay. And so the auditors will come and say, okay, you said that, let's see the document. Then your controller will go wherever you can keep document, trying to find stuff, right? Now, when the GSC doesn't find all the documents, that's what they said. A lack of adequate documentation.
Yeah.
They didn't say no documentation. So when the controller and others cannot give them all the documents or what they consider adequate, they will flag it. They will flag it. But that does not mean that Vavle Kamara did not receive the money. And in my auditing course, I always taught auditors, my students, about what is called alternative procedure in evidence gathering. Now the auditors will come to the Ministry of Finance. We process everything. We keep documentations, but these ministries also have documentations. So we face an archiving problem. Some people don't like to hear it. Go and see the ministry. In fact, we are looking for new structures, to put more documents. All the documents processed in government. Now, of this more than $735 million worth of transactions, GSC identified 2.8 million transactions that they feel, were not supported by adequate documentation. Now, what do they mean? Most of these transactions, I just gave you one. A transaction that took place on the 9th of September. I came in. Most of the transactions took place during Vague. Let me say the first thing. Most.
I hope this is not an attempt to shift blame.
No, not shifting blame. But I'm explaining this. It's not to say anybody did anything wrong. That's why you have, audit findings, then you have investigative findings, forensic investigation. The auditor did not say there was any fraud. The auditor did not say there was any misappropriation. In fact, had there been fraud, we wouldn't have gotten a qualified report. Let me give you this. In auditing, there are 4 types of report. The first, which is the excellent report, is called unqualified report. The second is qualified, meaning it's good, but it's not perfect. Then the worst report, the bad report is called average. And the worst report is called a disclaimer. In 2023, the Auditor General issued...
Of the last administration.
Well, I'm saying in 2023, the Auditor General opinion was adverse.
Which was worse?
Worse.
Okay.
This adverse, I know you know definitions. Adverse. Last year, it was qualified, meaning it was good in all material respect except for, in auditing, we call qualified report an except for report to identify 1 or 2 areas. So there's one of the areas they identify. These transactions that they say, the documentations were not adequate. Maybe, we can say from auditing background, okay, if you come and say that these things you didn't get a Ministry of Finance, check. Because most of these transactions came from the county health teams, Ministry of Health, Education Ministry, and some, they are there. I gave you one as an example. On the 9th of September, 2024, I was not even at the ministry. The government paid, 2 payments were made to the Ministry of Education. And I would just read the purpose of the payment. Payment to MOE to cover local scholarship arrears to various universities for second semester of 2022-2023. We're talking about dealing with the past. And for 2023 to 2024, arrears not paid. Now, the government paid the total of $423,482. So in that 2.8, this transaction is there as one of the transactions that were not supported by adequate documentation. Many of the entities involved are there. So, in auditing, we usually say, you know what, if for archiving problem, or because here is it, the auditors will do their work, sometimes in 5 days, they say, bring audit documentation for this. And people get challenged. But in alternative procedure, you could find these particular things, these documents, at the ministries, at the entities. And that's why it's going. The auditors say it should be accounted for. These entities are reporting. It is not a Minister of Finance that sits. In fact, the Minister of Finance signature is on check. You go there, the signature is on check. You don't get into check issuers. No minister get into those little details. But let me say this. Look, I gave you this example to try to be a layman on this. Roughly, assuming you have your son in a high school, I must gonna really in a way, Noah's Ark. You pay your son's school fee, right? For the semester, last semester. And you tell your son they should give you receipt. Your son went, paid the school fees, and for some reason, he misplaced the receipt or he couldn't find the receipt. He put it somewhere. And then, but at the end of the semester, your son was included in the graduating class. And you attended PTA and you attended the closing program. Now, you are an accountant like myself and others. You tell your son, I'm trying to account for all my finances. Where is the receipt for the past semester? Your son goes and starts to scramble all around to find a receipt. And while he's finding the receipt, or when if he cannot even find a receipt, is it fair to just assume that your son did not go to school? That your son ate the money? 1 minute. 1 minute. Yes, the primary evidence will be the receipt, but there are other ways to verify. When we talk about alternative procedure, nobody, you could go to the school to verify, but they wouldn't give clearance for your son's graduation if you didn't pay the receipt. So you try to find a receipt. So the absence of that does not mean your son did not go to school or your son ate your money. So that's how it is. So when you hear about not a transaction without supporting documentation, that is it. And let me tell you the solution. Years back, when I was Minister of Finance, my first thing, I know this is a perpetual challenge in auditing. Perpetual challenge. Documentation, archiving. So what we wanted to do was to modernize, computerize the entire process so that years and years later, no one will come and say, you can't find document. You see this? And some folks were able, to locate this from the ages. Give me this contract. There's a contract, November 2011. You see it?
Yeah, 2011.
You see it?
This document is over what?
I will tell you.
The archival problem?
No, see it. Contract for modern. You read it. See the title. You read it before they say I'm reading something.
No, I see.
Read the title.
I see Ministry of Finance, Republic of Liberia, contract for modernization of the archival system within the expenditure department of the Ministry of Finance between the Ministry of Finance and Professional Services Incorporated, November 11.
Go, send it to me. If you check, you will see that, show you evidence. There's a page, you will see my signature. My signature. It was signed by former Deputy Minister of Finance, Francis Capet, for administration at the time. And you guys know my signature. Sometimes it's on dollar bills. There's it.
Yeah. No, I see that.
You see it?
I see all those who signed. All those who signed include Francis T. Capet, Deputy Minister of Administration, Vanny Fambule, the CEO of the contractor, and attested by Augustine Ngafuan.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are, see, this is my signature. 2011. Why did we do this? Because of this particular problem. We don't want a situation where people are scrambling for documents. And the reason why it happens is that it's not only the GSC that will ask for documents. These documents are in archive. You got the IAA. Even experts, technicians are doing report the goal. So sometimes they don't put the documents back. So this was meant to solve the problem. And I thought the problem was solved. I come 14 years later. 14 years later, problem that I thought I solved. This
system was broken down.
System broken down. Let me tell you something from the things I go through. It's like, compare it to you build a 4-story building, right? And then you left. When you come back, you think you want to build. Your burden will be to build the 5th floor, 6th floor, and what have you. But in some respects, what we inherited is that in some respects, you're going to the ground floor. You're going to the foundation. So imagine we starting this over again. Something that was practically solved 2011. So what are we doing to solve this problem? We are expediting something called an electronic document management system. We're in advanced stages of procurement on this. And this problem of difficulty in locating documents, it will be solved. So
this is in essence an implementation of the recommendations during the audit report.
That's why the auditors don't come to say you are stolen. They come and find system weaknesses that you need to work on. But in this environment of gullibility, where people project negativity on people, when they see audit report, they conclude. And that is the reason why we are asking for more literacy on these matters. So that's what the auditor said. And so working on it. But these institutions are around. Some of the payment was done for county health teams, River G or school system. They are all listed. They are all listed. So how come somebody comes and says Augustine Ngafuan 2.8 million?
So there are two.
Are you wanting your T rate to be projected on me? So you want to confess T rate? Confess. Confess. And maybe we'll carry you to the church, and then there will be some penitence.
So there are two sources of getting documents here. If you don't get it from the Ministry of Finance, you can also get it from the spending entity.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways. So in fact, that's why we are having strategic conversation. I call it doing audit in a gullible society. When times I don't blame the press. I made, or joking with Jahim, I made the front page of the front page twice last week, right? I have a picture. They will give me some royalties. But, when the audit reports, when they come out, journalists want to sell. In fact, some journalists came up, 78 million, they put me in sort of dollars, 78 million. I said, but we will organize these things for people to understand. Okay. The other thing they said, maybe you haven't raised it, I need to clarify that, besides documentation issue. In fact, we started clarifying it. Payment without legislative approval in excess of budget is another 2.8. There's other key with 2.8. without. That's the very thing I was saying. Off budget without legislative approval. Now, let's compare. Let's do some comparison here. This year's report, or last year's report, was qualified, meaning it was good, but there were one or two exceptions that the auditor said we should work on. Last year's report, meaning 2023, was average. The Auditor General said it was bad. This issue about documentation that they identified in this year's report, 2.8. In 2023, they identified $4.27 million. As, in fact, they said, I think they used a harsher word. They said lack of. They didn't say problem with adequate documentation. Lack of documentation. That's what they said. And then, so if you ascribe thievery to 2.8, are you saying, by extension of a logic, that the people that headed, they stole 4.27 million in 2023, and some of them were moving around. So they say you have that problem in the extent of 4.27 million. Let me give you another area of distinction. The payment, the total stuff, they say quote unquote over legislative approval, right? 2.8. Do you know what it was 2023? 96 million. I repeat, 96 million in 2023. They say 2.8. You know, 2.8 here. It tells you the system improvement that has happened. You know, so these audit reports are out there. The LCC, we take the audit report because audit reports don't necessarily imply fraud. Now they will take a forensic eye and say, okay, let's investigate. Because for fraud, the definition of fraud is intent and action. Someone who have done this to steal from government. Or it could just be errors, misstatement, documentation. It is a responsibility. And I'm asking the LCC, to investigate, you know, whether it is this year or last year's stuff, or 2.8. In the previous year of 96, I'm asking the LCC. This is a clarion call from the Minister of Finance because they are empowered. The GAC does surface stuff. LCC, please investigate this for this country. Please investigate this for this country. I beg the LCC to investigate. So
for 2023 and
2024, 2023, LCC investigate. Yeah.
Okay.
Then this thing will be put to rest.
Okay, Minister. Quite interesting. Let me ask, before we take calls, let me ask about something. I mean, the owner of Spoon, Mr. Stanton Waterspoon, I've got report that he sent you a text calling you a bloody liar, just apart from, you know, spewing whatever on his platform. Is that true? Can I see?
It is true. It's true.
Can I
It
see?
is true. Oh,
Can I
I'm
see?
receiving calls. It's true.
Yeah. Can
It's true. Oh, God. So I'm receiving some calls here. It is true. You know, he sent me no text.
Do you know him?
I don't know. I didn't know him.
What have you done to him?
Well, I think I've done something to him. I think on that one I will confess I've done something to him. He sits on his talk show and spews out a spoonful of negativity. He creates a hellhole environment around the government. He deals with the president. He finds people routinely. The other time you're dealing with it. So I'm the new guy to deal with. He sees me as Minister of Finance and we're projecting, we're pushing. He knows that I'm rectilinearly focused on success. And so when you zoom on me, you think you break the number 5, then you break the government. So I've done something for him. He goes, his talk show is huge. It's becoming like a tabloid. Because I usually say, and I was telling Jahim and others, report, all I want is balance. Because we do not claim perfection. There are issues that we must work on in this government. And we must be, and you guys are fourth estate, you guys should hold our feet to the fire. But when someone refuses to see light, and every day, I don't know, I may be wrong. There was a groundbreaking ceremony at the last week for the start of the overpass bridge, the construction. I just check whether that was highlighted or even discussed. Find all the positives here. The man goes and says that we're going backward, there's a hell. I say that we're going forward. So I don't know him personally. So he hates that. He had gone 1 week saying that I lied about minimum wage. 150. He even have a video. He said I lied. I didn't call his name. I called you. You were at a press conference. I proved to you that I did not lie. If I did not lie, by inference, you can end it. You can end it. So It was immediately after that press conference when I proved that I explained it. He sent me the text.
You said it.
He sent me the text.
Did you do a screenshot of that?
Yeah. It's here. It will take me some.
And also,
I will send it to you.
Yeah,
it's here.
I have to.
And then calling me a bloody liar. You know, when I was hesitating to come, it was precisely for these moments. But I'm here. Call me what you want.
I mean,
but people know me and people know others. People know me. Some want to sit on a high seat of judgment in white robe and be the one to dole out integrity labels. You will say, okay, this man is clean, and the people should believe it. Violet Tamara is dirty, and the people should believe it. No progress, don't light in Monrovia. And when people can see light. So go, when you continue like that, you make your show to lose relevance. Because your people, there are people who just listen to you. Give them what I call the eclectic panoramic picture. Because if you think that we are weak-kneed people here, that you will sit in one corner and say you will spew negativity and you will break this government down, oh, you are completely mistaken. We know, let me say this, I will tell you this. You say you propagandists? When you started this thing, huh? We can wear multiple caps. This government has men. And you will, if it is your duty to go and every day spew negativity, your diet, you feed your people.
I watched a video where he said he doesn't like you.
Yeah, he says, imagine. There's a man, he's doing a quote unquote.
I continue to ask, what have you done to him?
I told you what I've done. If you said nothing is working, I say it's working. I've done something to somebody who cannot stand truth. You're talking about, what have I done? Nothing. I don't know him from anywhere. He sent me a text. He's taking liberties. I just want to know, the freedom of information thing you guys talk about, does it extend to sending somebody text and holding invectives, using crude and crass language to them? Does it extend to that? But I will forgive him. Send me whatever text. I will forgive you.
If you don't want to see a text, you can block him.
No. Let him send me. It doesn't move me. When I'm writing my autobiography, this thing will make it richer. It will make it richer. Yeah, those are chapters that people want to read. He will be featured. The one thing I offer him, he will be featured. Yeah.
Okay, let's take calls.
So folks, that's the Minister of Finance and Development Planning.
I don't use my platform to elevate another person. I just thought, I was curious because it's almost personal.
No, it's true.
But it happens almost every day. Anyway, call us on 0770-581-886, 0770-07756773.